You've walked into a room and felt invisible in it. Everyone has. Now picture the opposite. Two people walk into the same interview. One starts explaining himself before he even sits down, justifying the resume gap, cracking a joke, checking the interviewer's face after every sentence for approval. He's working hard. You can feel it. The second person sits, says good morning, and says nothing else. Within 30 seconds, the room shifts toward him. Not because he did more, because he did less. Here's the trick, and you can use it in your very next conversation. Stop filling silence. The second you're introduced to someone, resist explaining yourself. Let the pause sit there uncomfortably. Your brain will scream at you to fill it. Don't. Silence reads as control. Over-explaining reads as need. People clock the difference faster than they clock your face. Now let's kill the myth you've been sold your whole life. This isn't about confidence, looks, money, or charm. You've met confident people nobody respects. What actually separates these two men comes down to 7 specific brain tricks. And by the end of this video, you'll be able to use all 7 starting tonight. But stay for trick number 7. It doesn't just make people notice you. It changes whether they trust you when you're not even in the room. Skip it, and the other 6 only get you halfway. Trick 1 starts with the biggest mistake almost everyone makes in the first 5 seconds of meeting someone, and it's costing you more than you think. Number 1, the power pause. Someone asks you a question you weren't ready for. What do you do in the first half second? That reaction, before you've even thought about it, is already telling them who you are. Most people panic fill it. A question lands, and words come rushing out before the brain is caught up, stumbling, rephrasing mid-sentence, saying something just to not be sitting in silence. It feels safer than the alternative. It isn't. That rush signals one thing to everyone watching. You're not in control of yourself right now. Here's what actually works, and it costs you nothing. Before you respond to anything, a question, a challenge, a joke at your expense, pause for 2 full seconds. That's it. 2 seconds of nothing before your mouth opens. It sounds too small to matter. It isn't. When you rush a response, you're operating from the amygdala, the reactive, emotional part of your brain. When you pause, you shift into the prefrontal cortex, the part responsible for strategic, measured thought. Same brain, completely different signal. And researchers studying executive presence have found that this one shift, pausing before speaking, can raise how authoritative you're perceived to be by as much as 40%. Your words didn't change. Your delivery did. Think of the pause as punctuation. It tells the room what you're about to say was worth waiting for. But here's the uncomfortable part. Pausing only works if people are actually looking at you when you do it. And most people are doing something with their eyes right now that's quietly wrecking every ounce of respect they've built. That's trick 2. Number 2, the eye contact ratio. You're mid-conversation and you can't decide where to look. So your eyes drift to their shoulder, the floor, your phone. You think it's harmless. It isn't. Most people get eye contact wrong in one of 2 directions. Either they lock in too hard, holding it without breaking, which starts feeling aggressive within seconds, or they glance away constantly, which reads as dishonesty, disinterest, or nerves. Neither builds respect. Both quietly cost you it. There's a third option, and it's backed by neuroscience. Hold eye contact roughly 70% of the time during a conversation. Not staring, not dodging, just present. Researchers studying nonverbal communication have found this specific ratio is one of the strongest predictors of how confident and credible someone is perceived to be, across professional settings and casual ones alike. Here's why it works underneath the surface. At the right frequency, eye contact triggers a small release of oxytocin in both people's brains, the same chemical involved in trust and bonding. You're not just being noticed. You're being neurologically filed as safe. That feeling attaches to you, and most people never consciously know why. If direct eye contact feels too intense, there's a workaround. Look at the bridge of someone's nose instead. From their side, it reads identical. Same effect, none of the discomfort. Because trick 3 isn't about anything you do with your body at all. It's about a sentence most people say without even noticing, and it's quietly telling everyone in the room not to take them seriously. If this is landing, hit like right now and drop a comment telling me which trick you're starting with. I read every one. Number 3, kill the verbal hedge. Listen to how you started your last 3 sentences in a group chat or meeting. I might be wrong, but this is probably a dumb question. I'm not sure if this makes sense. You've done it. Everyone has. And the moment those words leave your mouth, the idea behind them is already dead, not because the room dismissed it, because you did. This is called hedging language. and it's one of the most common respect killers nobody notices they're doing. Linguistic research has found that hedge statements are rated as significantly less credible and less intelligent than the exact same statement delivered without the disclaimer. Same idea, same words, different framing, different verdict. Here's the fix, and it's almost insultingly simple. Just delete the hedge. Not, I might be wrong, but I think we should try this. Just, here's what I think we should try. Not, this is probably dumb, but just ask the question cleanly. The fear underneath this is obvious. What if you're actually wrong? Here's the truth nobody tells you. Being wrong with conviction earns more respect than being right while apologizing for it. People aren't rating your accuracy in real time. They're rating your certainty. If you've never caught yourself doing this before this exact moment, that's exactly the kind of blind spot I broke down in the video before this one. The one on the 7 tiny habits that make people respect you instantly. Go watch that next. It's linked right there, because Trick 4 builds directly on something from that video. Because Trick 4 isn't about what you say at all. It's about whether your word actually means anything once you've said it. Number 4, the reliability signal. You told someone you'd send it by Friday. Friday came and went. You told yourself it wasn't a big deal. To you, it wasn't. To them, it was the moment they quietly stopped counting on you. Most people overpromise in the moment because saying yes feels good, capable, willing, agreeable. Then life happens. The deadline slips. The callback doesn't happen. And they wonder, months later, why they keep getting left out of the room where decisions get made. Here's the equation organizational psychology keeps proving over and over. Competence plus reliability equals respect. And the part almost nobody understands is this. If reliability is missing, competence stops matching. You can be the smartest person in the building, but if people can't count on you to follow through, they won't respect you. They'll just quietly stop relying on you. The fix isn't complicated, but it is unforgiving. If you say Friday, send it Thursday. If you say you'll call back the same day. Small, boring, consistent proof that your word means something. And the math is brutal in one direction only. One broken promise erases 10 kept ones in someone's memory. Reliability doesn't compound gently. It compounds violently in both directions. Your word is currency. Right now, you're either building wealth with it or spending it into bankruptcy without noticing. But Trick 5 is the one thing on this list that, once you actually live it, not just understand it, live it, changes how every single person treats you. It's the one I almost didn't figure out in time. That one's next. Number 5, the strategic no. I said yes to everything for years. Every request, every favor, every quick call that turned into an hour. I thought it made me valuable. It made me invisible. Here's the paradox almost nobody figures out. When you say yes to everything, people don't respect you more. They respect you less. Because your time starts feeling like it costs nothing. And things that cost nothing get treated like they're worth nothing. Researchers studying leadership behavior found something that should sound backwards and doesn't. Leaders who decline requests roughly 60% of the time are rated significantly higher in perceived competence and value than leaders who say yes almost every time. Availability is not the same thing as value. It never was. Here's the exact line, word for word. I appreciate you thinking of me, but I can't commit to that right now. No paragraph of justification. No guilt. Because over-explaining a no does the opposite of what you think. It signals you're not sure about it, which invites people to talk you out of it. Brevity signals conviction. This is the one. Once I actually lived this, not just understood it, lived it, how people approached me changed. How much they valued my time changed. How I walked into rooms changed. Everything downstream of this list runs through this single habit. But saying no protects your time. It doesn't yet explain why the quietest person in the room is somehow the one everyone remembers afterward. That's trick 6, and it breaks almost everything you've been taught about how respect gets earned in a conversation. Number 6, listen at a 70-30 ratio. You know the person in every meeting who's already forming their response before you finished your sentence. You can see it in their eyes. They're not listening, they're waiting. And somehow, despite talking the most, they're the one nobody quotes afterward. Most people think respect comes from talking more, sharing more, proving they know something, filling every silence so their voice gets heard. So they walk into conversations ready to perform, scanning for the gap where they can insert their story. But the most respected person in the room is rarely the loudest one in it. Usually, they're the quietest, and when they finally do speak, everyone actually listens. The ratio is simple: listen 70% of the time, Speak 30. Communication researchers have found that active listeners are rated as more intelligent, more trustworthy, and more competent than people who talk significantly more. Not because they're saying smarter things, but because they're making the other person feel something the talkers never do. Actually heard. There's a real mechanism behind that feeling. When someone senses they're genuinely understood, not just tolerated, their brain releases dopamine, and that feeling quietly attaches itself to you. They won't always know why they like being around you. They'll just know they do. In practice, it looks like asking one more follow-up question instead of redirecting to your own story. It looks like letting a sentence fully land before you react to it. 6 tricks down. Every one of them changed how people perceive you. But trick 7, the one I told you to wait for, doesn't work on perception at all. It works on something deeper. And once you hear it, you'll understand why I saved it for last. Number 7, the uncertainty advantage. Here it is, the one I told you not to skip. And I'll be honest with you. On paper, this one doesn't sound like the game changer I promised. It's not flashy. It won't feel dramatic the first time you try it. But stick with me, because this trick doesn't work on how people see you in the room. It works on whether they trust you when you're not in it. The trick is this: when you don't know something, say so. Clearly, without flinching. Not, I think it might be, when you're guessing. Not a confident-sounding answer you half-invented on the spot to avoid looking caught out. Just 3 words: I don't know. Insecure people bluff. They speculate with false authority because they're terrified that admitting a gap makes them look incompetent. And for a while, it works. Until it doesn't. Until they're caught. And everything they've said before that moment quietly gets called into question. Credibility, once cracked, is brutally hard to rebuild. Leadership researchers have found the opposite of what most people assume. Leaders who openly admit uncertainty and say, I don't know, but I'll find out, are trusted up to 50% more than leaders who project total certainty on everything. People aren't actually looking for someone who knows everything. They're looking for someone who won't lie to them to look good. Remember trick 1, the pause, the prefrontal cortex versus the amygdala? This is that same regulated brain showing up again, except now it's regulating your ego instead of your mouth. Real confidence was never about knowing everything. It's being completely comfortable with what you don't. 6 tricks changed how people see you. This one changes whether they believe you. And that's the difference between being liked and being trusted for life. 7 tricks. That's genuinely all this was. Not a personality overhaul. Not years of therapy or expensive coaching. 7 small, specific, almost invisible behaviors that quietly change how every room you walk into receives you. But here's what I need you to actually hear before you close this tab. These aren't just things you do. Every time you pause before speaking, hold that eye contact, drop the hedge, keep your word, say no without guilt, listen more than you perform, or admit what you don't know. You're casting a vote for the person you're becoming. Do them long enough, and they stop being things you practice. They become who you are. So don't try all 7 this week. Pick the one that made you flinch a little while reading it. That's usually the one you've been avoiding. Start there. Just that one. If this actually shifted something for you, hit like right now. It tells me exactly which of these land, and it takes people staying in these rooms to keep making them. Comment which trick you're starting with tonight. I read every single one, and I want to know. Share this with the one person in your life who needs to hear, I don't know isn't weakness. It might change how they show up tomorrow. And if you haven't already, go watch the video right before this one. The 7 tiny habits that started all of this. Trick 4 only fully clicks once you've seen where it began. Subscribe, because every week I break down the exact psychology behind why some people are remembered in a room and some people are simply forgotten in it. Respect was never something you chase. It's something you quietly become.